Now I want to introduce you to 3 people who will demonstrate how to use these tips for a business visit. Bridget Tuck is a visitor who will ask the questions. John Bennett is the other visitor and will take the notes. Craig Taylor will be the business owner and will respond to the questions. There are only 2 differences between the role-playing visit you're about to see and the real thing. First, our example will only take 10 minutes rather than an hour or more, as is typical in an actual visit. Second, the visitors will make a few mistakes. Your job will be to watch them and note when the visitors do things correctly and when they do them incorrectly. After they're done, we'll ask you to discuss the interview and evaluate the visitors. As a reminder, while watching the visitors interview the business owner, look for the following. 1, do they ask every question and ask them exactly as worded? 2, do they listen carefully and never suggest answers? 3, do they take offense to opinions? 4, do they promise solutions? When considering the note taker, look for the following. 1, does he always circle responses? 2, does he make the notes tell the full story? 3, does he list the visitor's name on the interview guide cover? And 4, does he write clearly and neatly? Now let's join the role play of a business visit.
Well, first, Craig, we really appreciate your willingness to speak with us here today, and the community really appreciates the contribution that your business is making to the local economy. Now, before we begin our questions here today, did you receive a copy of the interview guide before we got here?
You know, I did receive a copy of it, but it got shredded, so I don't have one.
Oh, you know, that happens all the time.
We have an extra.
Here you go.
Great, thank you.
Now, as we begin the interview, Bridget's going to ask you a few questions, and I'm going to take the notes, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, great. Before I get to asking the questions, though, I want to give you a little background on the project and explain a couple of rules we'll be using today. So first, the program is sponsored by the Minnesota Falls Chamber of Commerce, the Minnesota Falls Economic Development Authority, and North Star Community College. We are getting technical assistance from the University of Minnesota Extension and Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development. In addition, we have over 40 local leaders who are doing these business visits and other parts of the project. We have 3 major objectives for the program. The first one is to demonstrate the community's willingness to help existing businesses, like yours. The second is to identify needs and concerns of existing businesses so we can help retain them and even expand their employment. And third, the goal is to develop long-range economic development plans to help existing businesses. We have 2 rules we'll be using here today. The first is a confidentiality rule, and the second is the skip it rule, and I'll explain both of those. The confidentiality rule is that your individual answers to this survey are confidential and will not be shared unless we're required to by law. Your responses will be summarized and with others and reported as percentages or averages only. And the skip it rule then, if there's a question that you do not want to answer and feel best that we should skip, we will do just that. You don't need to explain your reasoning to us. So with that, we can move on to the questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, question number 1. Is all the information on the cover sheet accurate?
Well, actually, no. Our name has changed. It's Minnesota Energy Systems.
Okay, all right, thank you. Question number 2. When did your business begin its operation here?
Excuse me, Bridget. What was your new name again, and has your address remained the same?
Yes, our name is Minnesota Energy Systems. Our address is still the same, and we have not moved.
Thank you.
All right, great. So back to question number 2 then. When did your business begin its operation here?
We started in 1995.
All right, question number 3. What are your business's major products?
Well, we design and manufacture renewable energy systems for businesses, utility companies, as well as homeowners. Our number 1 seller right now is creating community solar gardens. We also have a significant amount of sales in rooftop solar panels and our solar applications for residential. And we're actually starting to generate a small amount of business in wind and geothermal.
Wow, that's really interesting. So our follow-up question, number 4, do you expect the demand for your products to increase, stay the same, or decrease over the next 3 years?
Absolutely increase.
Oh, increase? Can you explain to us why you expect that?
You know, I've been doing a lot of reading about wind energy lately, and I've noticed the growth that's happened in southern and western Minnesota. And if I was a betting man, I would bet that the largest increase is probably going to come from that sector of the market.
Well, that's not actually true, John. In fact, the demand for solar energy has quadrupled over the past several years. In fact, we expect to see a significant increase over the next 3 to 5 years. We used to do quite a bit of business in the wind sector. However, that's started to taper off quite a bit over the past several years for a variety of different reasons.
Thanks for that clarification, Craig. Moving on to question number 6. Does your company have problems retaining employees in the following categories?
Well, on the interview guide form, it says problems recruiting employees. So do you want to know about problems recruiting or retaining employees?
Oh, I apologize. You're right. It does say recruiting. So could you do that, answer the question, does your company have problems recruiting employees in the following categories?
Well, from looking at this list, I would have to say we have problems recruiting professional and managerial, as well as skilled and unskilled in the manufacturing area.
So question number 7. Based on the following factors, please rate your satisfaction with your current location as a place for your company to do business, where 1 is very dissatisfied and 4 is very satisfied.
Well, Bridget, I would have to say 4, very satisfied because of the K through 12 schools. But I would also have to say 1, very dissatisfied because of the reliability and the cost of broadband.
Oh, interesting. Would you mind explaining why you think that?
Sure. Well, the future of Minnesota energy systems is highly dependent upon software innovation and embedded sensors. And of course, great internet connectivity. Now, we design and develop our own sensors as well as our own software, but we're completely dependent upon local broadband providers for high-speed connectivity. And we've had a real challenge in that area. We've had numerous conversations with the broadband people at the city, but we have not had any successful outcomes.
Have you gotten that, John?
Yes, I have. Craig, you are very important to our account, and I think we can talk to the city's broadband office about this. We need to get this fixed.
Really, that would be great. Thank you.
All right, moving on to the other factors on this list.
Well, as I look at it, police protection would be a 4. Snow plowing and street maintenance are both a 1. We've been very dissatisfied with that.
Excuse me, my sister-in-law is the head of public works for Minnesota Falls, and I'm familiar with their track record, and it's excellent. Don't you think you should consider the facts before you're taking shots at this department?
Well, all I know, John, is that our employees have had a difficult time getting in and out of that lot during winter months. Not to mention our trucks have sustained serious damage due to the potholes.
John, please remember that we are here to solicit opinions, not share our own.
Okay, that's right, Craig. I'll make note of your comments here. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
All right, we'll go back to the interview guide. Question number 8. Are you currently considering A, downsizing, B, selling, C, merging or acquiring another business, D, moving, E, closing, F, expanding, or G, none of the above?
Well, I would have to say A, downsizing, or G, none of the above.
Well, that's interesting. Would you mind telling us more?
Well, sure. As I said before, broadband reliability and the cost issue, those 2 things can be a deal breaker for us. If we're not able to resolve these issues over time, we're going to have to downsize and perhaps even move part of our operation somewhere else.
Thank you for your insight on that, Craig. We really appreciate you being honest with us and sharing your feelings. So we'll be sure to pass that information along to our business retention and expansion team that is helping to guide this program. All right, well, finally, our last question. Considering everything, how would you rate this community as a place to do business? A, excellent, B, good, C, fair, D, poor, or E, very poor?
Well, considering everything, and that is the pluses and the minuses, I would have to rate it a good place to do business.
All right. Excellent. Well, that's the end of our survey. We really do appreciate your time today and your
Well,
honesty
thank you.
and your willingness to share.
Thanks, Craig. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you, John. Appreciate your time.
Our visitors did an excellent job on some of the guidelines and totally blew it on others. There's no question they have promising careers ahead as actors. Now it's your turn. Take a break from this video and work together in small groups. Try to identify the things that the two visitors did correctly and what they did incorrectly. After you've considered this for about 5 minutes, your meeting organizer will ask each group to report. If you follow these tips, you'll have a good BR&E program, get quality data, make a good impression, and have fun at the same time. Good luck.